Jesus said, what shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? He said, what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? That means the soul of a man is more expensive than the whole earth. And that's why when man was to be purchased, nothing on earth could buy him. In 2 Peter 1 verse 18, he said, you were not bought of perishable things like gold. He said you were purchased with the blood of Jesus Christ. So what could buy man was something of God, because what is in him is of God. So you can't buy a God reality with a material thing. It takes buying God with God. So when we talk travail, please let your understanding be enlightened, that you carry God. The whole idea of travail is to bring him to manifestation. That you are the governor of the earth. The whole idea of travail is to take charge, and that your value is not something that can be bought with mundane things. So step into your class. This is what travail is about. You know, I was studying something recently about the value of nations, and I discovered two critical things that define the value of nations. Is the GDP, that's the economic value, and then the military might, that's the power for rulership, leadership and governance. When you find any nation that is called the word power, check the economy, check the army. These are two things that separate nations to their classes. And when we talk about these things, it defines the might of a nation. That means if an America wants to tell you we are great, they don't need to come and tell you we are strong, we are great. They will show you the economic power of the country, and they will show you the military might of the country. The military might shows technological advancement. It shows human resource ability. It shows everything that they are. And so nations pride themselves in the inventions that come out of them. And some of the most cutting edge invention has to do with the armed forces. And when you enter the realm of the armed forces, you will discover that certain nations are more nations than other nations. In the world today, there are a handful of nations that have nuclear weapons. So if a nation has a nuclear weapon, for instance, you can't invade it, because they call it nuclear deterrence. It means you can't, when two nations that have nuclear weapons fight, it's called nuclear Armageddon. That means if you destroy me, I destroy you. All of us have the same potential. So let's better go to the table and negotiate. But if a nation does not have a nuclear weapon, you will hear the one that has intimidate them. And there's nothing they can do. They will even invite you to come to their country and make peace. And you have no choice but to go there and explain yourself like a child talking to a boss. Meanwhile, this is supposed to be a conversation of two presidents. You see one threatening the other. It shows might. And then when you enter other aspect of weaponry, I discovered the aircraft is one of the strongest expression of military might. There are few nations today that have 5th generation aircrafts. 5th generation aircrafts are aircrafts that have 3 major capacities. Number 1 is called maneuverability. That means they can move like paper. They can dodge missiles. So an aircraft can swing and take a different turn. You are wondering, what is this? Number 2 is called stealth avionics. What that means is that you can't dictate them in radar. They will pass your country, do what they want to do. You will hear on the news that they destroy something. And you are wondering, when did you come? Your radar can't dictate it. You can't know they came. And number 3 is speed. So these aircraft can fly at the speed of Mach 2.0. That is 2 times the speed of sound. They are called 5th generation aircrafts. Russia has what they call Su-57. America has what they call F-35, F-22, B-2 Spirit bombers. So when this country want to show their power, you know what they do? They just parade it. Look around, advise yourself. This is a no-go area. Advise what? Yourself. So when you see those aircrafts, you will calm down. Because 2 can visit your country. When they leave, it will not be the same. That's how they showcase their power. Guess what? When God wanted to showcase his power, you know what God presented? Let us make man. Let us make man. In man is the wisdom of God. In man is the glory of God. In man is the power of God. So when we show up in the spirit realm, we can cast out devils. The Bible said the manifold wisdom of God is demonstrated by the church. See, no creation called God a name. Only the angels, and what they called him was holy. Holy is not a name. It means you are in your own class. But when we came, we said Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Nissi, Jehovah Jireh, I am that I am, El Elyon. And the angels are wondering. That's why Psalm 8 verse 4 said, what is man that thou art mindful of him? What is man that you visit him? You made him a little lower than the angel. Man is not a commodity. Man is not cheap. Man is the expression of the glory of God. In Ephesians 2 verse 10, it said we are his workmanship. When God wanted to look at you, for instance, we are the only creatures that have three lives. There's life in your blood. Leviticus 17:11. That's what powers your flesh. So you can relate with a dog. It's called animal life. There's life in your soul. You are able to think at a realm beyond other animals. Genesis 2 verse 7. He breathed into his nostril. He became a living soul. And there's another life in your spirit. You know what that means? It's the God life. So if you come here now and God is seated, it won't take you unawares. You can relate in the God class as though you are in that order, because you have the God life. You are the only one that God can live inside. There's no angel that can carry God. But you know what the Bible said? Christ in you is the hope of glory. The fullness of God can dwell in you. He said, I have put eternity in their heart. What is man? You know why we travail? When I look at myself, I ask myself, if God is in me, where is he? I can't manifest enough of him. You know why we travail? If only me can govern the earth, why am I struggling with one territory? It means there is something about me that have not been realized. If God is in me, why is my life like this? I know you may have seen a little, but can you govern the whole earth? It means you have not begun to scratch your propensity. I know you have seen a little bit of glory, but the fullness of God is in you. When men see you, do they see God or they see a doctor? Do they see God or they see a lawyer? Do they see God or they see an engineer? So long as fullness, the fullness of God has not yet manifested, you need to travail. The only example that God pointed at was Jesus Christ. This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Guess what happened? At the age of 12, no professor could stand him. That's a man. The Bible said he asked them questions. For 3 days they couldn't answer. He answered it. When Jesus walked the earth, they were in the wedding in Canaan. John 2. The wine is out. I'm not a brew. I don't brew. I don't work in a wine factory. It doesn't matter. Put water in the jars. Fetch, go and give the governor. How did a carpenter know anything about wine? Oh, he was in a crusade. 5,000 men, not counting women and children. John 11 were hungry. What? Give them something. They said, Master, don't go there. Even a year's wages can't suffice. We are not talking wages here. We are talking divine order. What do you have? 5 loaves and 2 fish. Bring it. He gave thanks, broke it, give them. 5,000 men were fed. Women, children fed. 5 baskets left over. So there was ability to reproduce. Oh, he was in the boat. Let's cross to the other side. The storm came. Master, carest not thou that we perish. He stood up. Hey, wind. The people became tired. Who is this? Nothing ever takes him unawares. Nothing ever overpowers him. Even the wind and the wave obeyed him. Who is this? The other time they were in the boat, they left at the 3rd watch. Jesus woke up. There was no boat. He was never stranded. The Bible says he came walking on water. As if that is not enough, he overtook a boat that left 9 hours earlier. And they say it's a ghost. They say, I don't have to be a ghost. I'm a man. You come, you can do it too. That was the first time Peter realized men walk on water. Men. It's not about me as Christ. There is something about the man. Lazarus was buried 4 days. He showed up. They said brain has decayed. He said roll away the stone. And he said Lazarus come forth. So nothing could die around him. Nothing could take him unawares. Nothing could overwhelm him. Nothing took him by surprise. And when he was about going, in John 14:12, he said, the works that I do, you shall do also. And he said, greater works than this. Hey, brothers and sisters, something must come out of you tonight. Please, while we appreciate earthly accomplishment, remember there is a heavenly standard. You must attain what Jesus attained. And he said you can go beyond. That's why we came to this mountain to travail. That's why we came here to cry. The propensity is too enormous for the manifestation that we see. A man that can rule the earth shouldn't struggle with one family. A man that can feed 5,000 shouldn't die of hunger. A man that can command the constellation to obey should not be a victim in his country or in his territory. There is something about us that has not yet manifested. This is why we must travail. Because when I read my scripture, one of the things that bets divinity from humanity is the protocol of prayer. And not just prayer, but the prayer of travail. Isaiah 66 verse 8. Please sit down. Let's begin our teaching. Yeah. You will leave this conference and they will say, hey, you are just a woman. You say, no, I'm not just a woman. Christ in me is the hope of glory. You will leave this conference. They will say you are just a black man. You will say, no, I'm not just a black man. I carry God. I carry divinity. You will leave this conference. They will say, but you are too young. You will say, no, I'm not young. Christ is in me. They will say, oh, you are old. Your time is over. No way. The Ancient of Days dwells here. Time does not intimidate us. Come on. Somebody shout for glory. Shout for glory. Maleka Patoriatana. Zavela Kamura Tavekas. Sit down for a moment.